We will be led in prayer by Madam Clerk, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk.
O God of might, wisdom, and justice, through whom authority is rightly administered, laws enacted and judgment decreed, assist us, we beseech thee, that this city council may be conducted in righteousness and be eminently useful to thy people over whom we preside. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Councilors Williams.
Here.
Morgan.
Present.
West.
Present.
Ruth.
Present.
Mayor Kirkland.
Present. We now open up the microphone for public comments on the agenda items only. If you have public comment on our agenda items, we ask that you would go to the microphone, provide us with your name and your address and your comments. Hearing or seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Resolution. Whereas the following individuals have requested a handicap parking zone. Number 1, Herschel Garrett Sr., 30 East Maury Street, Chester, PA 19013. Number 2, John Palmer, 520 Highland Avenue, Chester, PA 19013. And whereas after a thorough investigation by the Department of Public Works, it has been determined the aforementioned individuals have met all the required criteria and have a need for said handicap parking zone. Now therefore, the council of the city of Chester does resolve that it does hereby authorize the proper city officials to install a handicap parking zone in the unit block of East Maury Street and in the 500 block of Highland Avenue in the city of Chester.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk.
Councilors Williams.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Ruth.
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. Whereas the city of Chester hired Daniqua Plummer as the full-time purchasing manager, Department of Accounts and Finance, effective April 24th, 2023, for 37.5 hours per week with no benefits and a 60-day probationary period. And whereas said employment is contingent upon successful completion of a 60-day probation from the date of hire. And whereas the city is required by law to offer said employee medical benefits after 60 consecutive days of employment, which was completed on June 23rd, 2023. And whereas after serious consideration, it has been determined that the probationary period should be extended for an additional 60-day period. Now therefore, the council of the city of Chester does resolve that it does hereby extend the probationary period of Daniqua Plummer as the full-time purchasing manager, Department of Accounts and Finance, until August 22nd, 2023. If said employee fails to meet the job expectations after the 60-day extension period, said employee will no longer be eligible for the position and will be subject to termination from said position.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk.
Councilors Williams.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Roots.
There should never be a time where you extend a probationary period when it's been proven the candidate wasn't eligible in the first 60 days. It sets a horrible precedent. It disrespects those of you who have gone through your probationary periods successfully. I will not support this. No.
Mayor Kirkland.
It is important that we encourage persons to want to get better at what they do. Encourage them and provide them with the proper training that is needed so that they can complete the task or the job that has been given them. And so that is why we're extending this probationary period. Yes. Yes.
And it's important that we don't just dump our people to the side. Giving them, I feel like we're the land of opportunity. We have homegrown people here that are qualified and eligible and knowledgeable to do the job and the positions. We had extensive conversations about this on Monday where we came up with a decision. We did not want to get rid of this individual We know this individual possesses a great amount of qualities to do this role and many others here in the city of Chester. So we decided that we wanted to extend the probationary period to make things right so that we can have the best qualified person continue to be able to do the position here in the city of Chester. So I thank you for council for going ahead and making this consideration and approving this resolution.
Madam Clerk?
Resolution. Whereas the city of Chester hired Thelma Evans as a code enforcement officer, License and Inspections Department, effective July 17th, 2023, for 37.5 hours per week, with benefits and a 90-day probationary period. And whereas said employment is contingent upon said individual successfully completing a 90-day probation from the date of hire. Now therefore, the council of the city of Chester does resolve. Further, if said employee fails to meet the job expectations within the 90-day probation, said employee will no longer be eligible for the position and will be subject to termination from said position.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Again, here's a situation where we have an individual who was released from the job opening came up, they applied for the job. All I have to say to this one is that there were other applicants who didn't get an opportunity to interview. They should have had an opportunity to interview. I did interview Miss Evans. No.
That's it. Mayor Kirkland.
Ms. Evans has been working through COVID here in the city of Chester with no benefits. Ms. Evans has worked in every possible position from cleaning the building to working in the field. She has been a diligent and faithful worker, and I'm proud to support the rehiring of Ms. Evans. She has done a great job in the past, and she'll do a better job in the very near future. Yes.
Resolution. The council of the city of Chester does resolve that it does hereby appoint the following individuals to the position of temporary laborer per diem for the Public Works Department, effective July 17th, 2023, at the rate of $13.62 per hour, with no benefits, not to exceed 29 hours per week. Jose Montanez, Douglas Smith.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. The council of the city of Chester does resolve that it does hereby ratify the employment of Christina Foster as a monitor for the city's 2023 Summer Food Program, Department of Public Property and Recreation, at the rate of $12 per hour, beginning July 10th, 2023, and ending August 25th, 2023, with no benefits, not to exceed 20 hours per week.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. The council of the city of Chester does resolve that it does hereby ratify the employment of the following individuals as interns for the finance department beginning July 17th, 2023, and ending August 18th, 2023, not to exceed 25 hours per week. Damian Dickerson Jr. and Talaya Allen. Further, compensation for said interns will be made by the Chester Education Foundation.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. Whereas the workplace is an organization that prepares people for careers that strengthen the workforce for employers, and whereas the workplace sponsors the Maturity Works program, which provides paid training to help people aged 55 and older, and whereas the Maturity Works program is funded by the Department of Labor, Employment and Training Administration, under the Senior Community Service Employment Program, and participants are provided to 501c3 nonprofit agencies, community-based organizations, or government agencies free of charge. And whereas the City of Chester has determined there is a need for additional office support in the License and Inspection Department. Now, therefore, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby ratify the placement of Maturity Works participants to provide clerical support to the Department of License and Inspection for no more than 20 hours per week, beginning July 3rd, 2023, and ending August 22nd, 2025. Further, it does ratify the execution of all necessary documents to ensure the city's compliance with the above-mentioned program requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Roots,
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. Whereas the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, PennDOT, has a Transportation Alternatives Set Aside, TASA, program that provides funding for projects and activities defined as transportation alternatives, including on and off-road pedestrian and bicycle facilities and trails that serve a transportation purpose. And whereas TASA requires that the applicant for TASA funding cover all pre-construction costs, including engineering and design for eligible projects. And whereas the City of Chester was awarded $50,000 in funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, DCNR, and $60,000 in Coastal Zone Management, CZM funds, to develop final design documents for a trail connection on the unit and 100 blocks of Norris Street. And whereas TASA covers 100% of the construction costs of approved projects. Now, therefore, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby authorize the submission of a pre-application, and if approved, a full application to the TASA program for the construction of a trail connection on Norris Street as part of the East Coast Greenway.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Roots,
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. The Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does approve and order payment of a series of bills and refunds as prepared by the Department of Accounts and Finance and is shown on expenditure approval list dated June 22nd, 2023 through July 3rd, 2023, attached hereto and made a part hereof, subject to approval from the Department of Accounts and Finance.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Roots,
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
An ordinance. Bill number 15 on its last and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Chester, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, enacting new Article 106 entitled Realty Transfer Tax of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Chester, Pennsylvania, 1978, as supplemented and amended to provide for the purpose, intent, applicability, assessing penalties and interest thereon, and severability of a realty transfer tax for general revenue purposes imposed on the transfer of real estate or interest in real estate situated in the City of Chester in the amount of 1.5% to be divided equally between the City of Chester and the Chester Upland School District, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent therewith.
I move that we pass bill number 15 on its last and final reading.
I second that we pass bill number 15 on its last and final reading.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Roots,
I just want to go on the record that I recommended a 1% realty transfer tax, but I say yes to the second reading.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
We now have a citation. Fire Commissioner William C. Rigby IV. Whereas William C. Rigby IV, a former Marine, began his firefighting career as a volunteer firefighter in Middletown in 1986. Whereas before becoming a Chester City firefighter, he worked as a Delaware County Emergency Services dispatcher. Whereas Rigby has been a career firefighter in the city of Chester since 2003, rising to the rank of Deputy Commissioner in 2016. Whereas in February 2019, Rigby was sworn in as Fire Commissioner by Mayor Thaddeus Kirkland, filling the position vacated by the retirement of former Fire Commissioner Travis E. Thomas. Whereas a few of Rigby's accomplishments included leading the City of Chester's residents and employees through the COVID-19 pandemic as the Emergency Management Coordinator, overseeing the promotion of the Bureau's first female captain, and overseeing the equipping and certification process for the Chester Borough Fire to be a quick response medical service with the Pennsylvania Department of Health, the first time the Bureau has ever been certified to provide emergency medical care. He started the Fire Explorers program, which allows high school students to explore careers in the fire service, just to name a few. Whereas, whereas Rigby has accepted a new position as Public Safety Director, Fire Chief in his hometown of Middletown Township. Whereas Rigby has served the city of Chester for 2 decades. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Thaddeus Kirkland, and the council members of the city of Chester do hereby thank Commissioner Rigby for his leadership, dedication, and commitment that he has shown while serving the city of Chester. We wish him the best. Presented on the 12th day of July, 2023.
bittersweet. So I'm just gonna wing it. But first, I want to thank the firefighters of Local 1400 Without them, I'm not standing up here. Get set off. A couple members of my staff, Darnell Austin, Jackie Goldsboro, my deputy chief Shirley, and Devin Postaway, and my fire marshal, who work with me closely every day. Say my platoon. But big support, right? And like I said, I didn't succeed here without them. And I get choked up. But yeah, and I just want to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity. I'm not going to be far. Shirley will be here helping out. Commissioner Gretzky, Mark, Rob, the whole team. Never told when I became fire chief or fire commissioner that I'd be doing the things we do. But that's what brought all these relationships together, not just with white fires, but commercial fixing air conditioning. Whatever it takes. And, I want to say another thank you to Leather Lighton. He's our new chief of staff. Outstanding, solid, rock solid guy. To help leadership here. And he's been super supportive of my team. I know I'm missing somebody. My sister-in-law's doing that. And all my friends and colleagues over here. So, I look forward to seeing you. I'll shut it off there. And Mayor, thank you for being here.
It blows my mind how someone who, people run into a fire, go put out a fire and save lives, get up here and get off.
My dearest friend, she was right here.
Thank you, Commissioner. Before we do the PennDOT piece, Ms. King, you have a presentation?
Good morning.
Good morning.
According to the Department of Health, 116,252 Delaware County residents have received a bivalent booster dose. The CDC recommends that everyone 6 years and older receive an updated COVID-19 booster if they have not already. The FDA states that there will be updated COVID vaccines beginning in the fall to target emerging subvariants of Omicron. The FDA recommended abandoning the bivalent vaccine and moving to a monovalent vaccine that only targets Omicron subvariants. This change is being made in anticipation of an increase in cases. On August 9th, the Chester Bureau of Health will partner with the Delaware County Health Department to host a community conversation about health and the opioid epidemic. The event will be held at the Access Community Center on 701 Booth Street from 6 to 7:30. You can call 484-276-2100 to RSVP. And free dinner will be provided to all participants. We will be giving out free fans next week to senior residents in light of the extreme heat. You can contact Rosetta Carter for more information at 610-447-7700, extension 7955. Finally, COVID-19 home test kits and Narcan can be picked up from the tables downstairs at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. At this time, we have some representatives from PennDOT who will provide us with a Chester noise abatement, the Chester Noise Abatement Project.
I'm not used. Good morning. I'm going to stand back here. You'll still hear me. My name's Mike McGuire. I think a lot of us have met. I'm representing PennDOT District 6. Marion Hall from engineering firm CDM Smith is here as well. I'm here to talk through, just get more information out, make sure more people are aware of what's potentially coming if everybody goes along and wants to go down this road. I-95, as you know, slices through the middle of Chester along with several other communities as it goes through the Delaware border. It was built prior, the section from the airport all the way down to the Delaware border was built prior to the National Environmental Policy Act of, I think, 1969. There are no noise walls, and in some areas, particularly Forwood Street, there's almost no separation between the highway, live truck traffic, and residential communities. PennDOT has, in preliminary engineering, at the behest of DVRPC, I imagine City Council and other folks that got this going, a noise wall. It's called I-95 Chester Noise Abatement Project. Essentially, we're looking at upwards of 4 miles of noise walls that would be constructed in both Chester Township and the city of Chester, Pennsylvania, at different spots where they're either warranted, and they're almost all warranted, it's loud, reasonable, where we can build them without causing some other problem, or feasible, meaning the residents or business owners or property owners that are immediately affected are in favor of it. We're not coming in to push it on people. If certain neighborhoods aren't interested in that, those folks in the front row will be able to vote it down. And that's all right. It doesn't affect the rest of the project. PennDOT is not doing this as part of any other project. It is just a Chester noise abatement project. It's standalone. It's 100% state funds. So we're not following a bunch of federal rules anywhere. It's all state dollars on this job. Basically, we did, it was right before the pandemic started. We went through a number of neighborhoods and set up noise monitoring equipment between Highland Ave, the Highland Avenue overpass, all the way up to the bridge over Ridley Creek, I-95 over Ridley Creek. Bullens Lane is right there. In that area, all those neighborhoods are loud. They all warrant some sort of noise abatement, and for the most part, we can make noise abatement work in a lot of them. There are a few areas where there's a rail yard near Crozier Hospital. We did Upland Borough as part of this study, but there's quite a bit of woods and they sit back. So they're so far back away, they don't meet the noise criteria, mainly because of the distance away from the highway. And there's a couple other areas where it wasn't feasible to construct walls, but for the most part, walls are, we're going to be coming around to the different neighborhoods, including Forwood Street, the areas immediately east of Engle Street, along Concord Avenue, along Hancock Street, and other areas, the area up by the baseball field east of Melrose, there's a neighborhood in there, and then the areas around Curlin Street.
Excuse me.
No, please,
We don't let him finish.
please.
We need to ask.
So the areas along I-95 are what we're primarily looking at. This is obviously not, from here, this is not easy to see the detail, but roughly Forwood Street, Engle Street, around through Chester Township. The Chester Police Station is back in there. On the east side, along 13th Street, Concord Avenue, the areas around Curlin Street, and then the downtown areas, as well as up toward Hancock Street, are the areas where noise walls would make a big difference in a community, and they'll actually work. It's not that we're going to put up these walls and suddenly you're not going to hear I-95. It's still there. All the traffic's still there, but it'll be a much better separation between residences, businesses, and 6 or 7 lanes, depending on where you are, live traffic. These are more details of the areas we're potentially looking at. This is Highland Avenue. There's Forward Street is on both sides of the highway, the Riverside and the Upland side. That's Colhane Street, all along here and on down toward Engle Street. And then we continue past Engle. This is the area in Chester Township. It's also a part of this. And we pick up on the other side of 322. That's where 322 goes to the Commodore Barry Bridge. We wrap around and then continue along Concord Avenue. There's public gardens down here. This is Curlin Street. We're trying our best to stay off CSX property. PennDOT doesn't have a great record of experience working with CSX, or I could reverse that and say CSX doesn't have a great record of experience working with us. We're going to do our best to avoid taking right away from CSX because that's going to drag this out till long after I'm gone, and we don't want to do that. But there are areas in PennDOT right away where we can build noise walls that would protect the areas both north and south of 95 at Curlin Street. This is Curlin Street coming down the middle. That's 12th Street and then 13th Street. These homes sit down low, and then Villa Drive sits up on top of the hill there. And then this is, I'm calling it the downtown area. I guess it's north of downtown. These areas, we're not going to wall off Upland, Potter, or any of these streets, but there are shorter walls up here on top of the slope that'll help it be somewhat quieter and get a better separation along 12th Street. And then we come over to Hancock Street where the homes are, Hancock's and Harold Street. The homes are right close to 95. We may have to rebuild that retaining wall, but we can make something work there that'll make it quite a difference for those communities. There's several blocks in here, as well as a wall along 95 on the 14th Street side. That's Widener's baseball field down there, just to orient you. CSX would still be behind the wall, so we're not going to protect, unfortunately, for freight noise. That's not something we're able to really do as part of this. But the freight trains aren't coming by like the trucks every minute and a half. So. Former wife used to live right on that line, got a huge wind. My former girlfriend, now she's my wife. I know that train is loud. We were still married.
Clean it up.
7 o'clock this morning. Yeah. As I said that, I sort of looked on your face. But unfortunately, CSX noise isn't something we can really account for with this project, not well. Obviously, you're still going to have airplanes flying overhead. There's still street noise. You know, there's lots of residences. This is intended to mitigate for I-95. For the folks down on Forward Street, where there's just that stupid chain link fence and the guide rail, this is also meant to be a more significant physical barrier. We're going to put a moment slab. Here's a nice picture of it. Very good. The wall's going to sit up on top of one heck of a barrier. Put it simply, on both sides of Forward Street. While I can't tell you that any truck that hits this thing is going to survive any impact, but it's going to be a lot better than what's there now. That chain link fence and the guide rail, you know, between a little residential street and I-95, that's got to change. This will provide a more significant separation. This is Hancock Street. I think that's 12th Street, Hancock, same type of thing. There'll be a retaining wall and a deep foundation with a barrier on the residential side, and then the wall will come up out of it. These walls are significant in size. These are 15 to 20 feet tall, depending on where we are. It's not meant just to deal with first floor noise, but it'll deal with second floor noise as well. There are a couple taller buildings in the corridor. If you're on the top floors, it's probably not going to make that much of a difference. But most of the buildings out here are 3 stories or less. All right, so what comes next? Next thing is the department has got to get what we call environmental clearance. That allows us to start final design right away and dealing with utilities and making sure all these other issues that are out of the way or get worked out. Residents, and the way The way the state policy is on this, it's in Pub 24, if anybody's interested in doing some reading that might put you to sleep, but it is in there. PennDOT will not push noise walls, Pub 24, yes. PennDOT will not push noise walls on anybody, although in this case, we're under the impression that a lot of these neighborhoods probably want this and won't feel we're pushing them. That said, the frontline residents and businesses and property owners, like I said, in that first block on either side of 95, we're gonna come out somehow, and we'll have to work with city council, and Amanda's promised to work with us on this, and figure out neighborhood by neighborhood or wall by wall, how we'll get more information, or we'll just come out and sit down and talk about it, and residents get to vote up or down on the wall. So if there's a bunch of people that, oh no, that's gonna block my view, or oh, I can't see my cousin's house, whatever the reason, it's a yes or no. If one neighborhood votes it down, that's okay, we won't build that one, that doesn't mean the rest of them go away. This job is severable. I guess that's the right word. On the community side, there'll be some options too. The voters will get to pick from several options of what the walls look like on the community side or the residential side. On 95, we're gonna pick something that's consistent throughout the 95 corridor. But for the most part, the residences won't be able to see that unless they're driving on 95. So that's something we want to do as we get into the fall and start that community coordination. The other thing I got to do, and I guess he just retired, so I got to coordinate with his replacement. The fire commissioner Rigby, we had started talking to him about emergency response because the Chester City Fire Department does cover accidents on 95. We don't want to cut off hydrants, so we got to figure some things out there. And if that involves moving some utilities around, we're going to have to do that. As far as right-of-way goes, we're going to try to do as much of this as possible in public right-of-way, whether that's city street right-of-way or our limited access right-of-way. In some cases, limited access may have to overtake some pieces of city streets, or we may have foundations for these walls that are under city streets, particularly Forwood and the other one, I keep saying Heckman, it's Hancock, where the streets, local streets are right on top of it. These things will have to work out officially with the city engineer and others, your staff, whoever it is, Councilwoman West, we're gonna be friends maybe by the time this is over. We'll finalize locations. What else was I gonna talk about? Schedule. I'm hoping to be out of what PennDOT calls preliminary engineering before Labor Day, in which case then we're going to get into what's called final design. We've got to design structural foundations for these things. We can't put a 20-foot wall up without doing significant subsurface testing. We'll be doing borings. We've got to get some utilities out of the way, both overhead and underground, and we will have to do some right away. I don't think we're going to have any residential relocations as part of this. I think everybody's going to be fine where they are. I don't think there's a wall that has to cut through a house anywhere to protect the rest of the neighborhood. We don't have any spots where that should be an issue. There are one or two homes that are very close, which I'm concerned about, where we're going to have to talk to individual owners because of vibrations when we construct these. We'll have to figure that out. And like I said, we got to meet with Commissioner Rigby's successor about all the emergency response. I can take a couple questions. Did I forget anything, Marion? That's a quick overview, but I'm happy to answer a few questions while we're all standing here.
Sure, sure.
Whether
Any questions?
City council or the public, doesn't matter to me.
We'll start with council. Any questions, council?
I got a question. You mentioned CSX. So if the barriers are constructed, would that increase the noise that are coming from the train as they travel through the residential area?
It could reflect some wall well, across 95 from CSX, no, they're going to just hear it in the distance, like you're way out in the country and it's miles away.
Right.
On the side where CSX is, it could reflect some noise back, and it could get louder. Yeah.
But understanding, I know that typically the trains travel at slower speeds in the residential areas, so it may not be that much noise. But I just wanted to know.
Right, if they're blaring horn, I live near the 100 trolley, if it's blaring a horn at a deer at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna hear it. That's, yeah, but it could get louder on the upland side.
Gotcha.
I see that, CSX trains, up by the Curlin Street area, they're normally sitting, you know, I don't see too much activity there. I know there's some, but not a lot, I don't know. Do you-
Yeah, and if they're sitting there with the engines running, that could reflect more noise. It's probably not gonna be as loud as Jake brakes and trucks on the highway, but that could reflect noise back on that side a little bit. Yeah, so all our walls are on the 95 side, because we don't own anything. PennDOT doesn't have any right of way beyond CSX.
And you did talk about some type of cosmetic, you know, around these walls to make them look nice too.
Yeah, and we can look at different aesthetics. That's something we haven't worked out, and we can work it out together. Aesthetic, yeah, could be a lot of things.
Thank you. Let me just say, this is something that the residents have been looking forward to for decades. So, God bless. So we appreciate, I know I do, appreciate the stepping up now and moving forward with this project so that we can have a quieter community when it comes to road traffic. So,
Yeah, and more, some places, there needs to be more of a physical barrier. That area down by Forward Street, I can only think of one other place in the state where an interstate highway is right there on residences.
very good.
Actually, I can think of two, but one of them's getting taken care of.
Thank you. Any questions from the citizenry?
The mayor might have answered part of my question, but so you said that this was an independent project, the abatement of noise. So is this something that is normally, you know, done in communities, and what initiated this for Chester City? I see there's a wide range of involvement. What initiated it? Has it been input from community residents, or are we just behind? You know, why now are we looking at this study to get these walls? And also, can you talk about, is it an area also that collaborates with safety? Are these walls also a part of, you know, the safety issue? You know, having a separation from the, you know, from the highway. But why now is this project? Is this something that should happen in communities already, and we're just getting to it, or is this something new?
There are some communities over. Oh, her first. Well, all right. So I'll go. You asked a bunch of. I'll ask. The first one is why now, or her question was why is this happening now? And I assume that means why didn't it happen sooner, or that might be a common thought.
Yeah, if this is like a normal procedure that happens in other.
I wouldn't say it's normal. There are places around, and the Blue Route was started before the National Environmental Policy Act, but then I think Springfield Township or somebody sued somebody, and this was long before I was here, where they had to go back and reevaluate everything under NEPA because half the road was built and half of it wasn't. Either way, PennDOT was forced to look at it up there, which is why not all, but a whole chunk of the communities on the Blue Route have some sort of noise mitigation. Not everywhere, though. 95 in Philly was built last, down, I'm talking Penn's Landing in that area, so they have it. Everywhere else on 95, I think the road was built before National Environmental Policy Act, meaning Bucks County, down here in Delco, and the river wards up in the city. I'm talking about from Fishtown, north and east. So up there, and down here, nobody has it. There are around the state legislatures that occasionally come along and push and push and push, and sometimes they get something, sometimes they don't. I won't pretend to be involved in that. But there are legislators who get together and push for noise in certain areas, and sometimes PennDOT doesn't, sometimes it isn't warranted. Why now? I think there's two things. One, some community members here, and I don't know all who, but I know some of you were involved, have been pushing DVRPC for quite some time, some going back 20 years for it.
Yes, yes. It's been a while.
Right, Governor Corbett, I'm going back, with Act 89, brought more state funds into transportation. There are also more federal funds available now than there were before, at least for the next few years until the Biden bill expires, which is like in another 3 years, I think. We're not using federal funds here because that brings in other requirements, which means we can't build all of these walls because some areas wouldn't qualify. And I won't get into which or why. It deals with traffic and traffic projections. But with state funds that are available now, we have the opportunity to do it now. The new administration hasn't said boo about it or changed anything, so it seems like we're good there. I don't think changing governors from Wolf to Shapiro is impacting it. So that's sort of why now. We actually started this study back in before the pandemic, probably 2018. So we've been poking around. We've got survey everywhere. We've got environmental clearance about wrapped up. We know where utilities are. We know where right-of-way lines are. And we've got designs for safety of motoring traffic on 95 done that are all in with PennDOT for review. And preliminary structure plans are with PennDOT for review now. We're also poking around. There's gas stations. There's some stuff in the soil in a few different places that were spilled years ago. We know where they are now. We're either going to work around them or have to deal with them as we go.
Thank you.
You had another question there. I don't think I hit everything.
It was also just about the safety. Are these walls, I mean, did they play a part in the safety? Because I know that there are some of the communities right there.
Right.
You know, so is that also taken into consideration in addition to the noise abatement, the safety issues? Or is that just something that?
I don't know beyond. I'm taking it into consideration because to design a safe highway, you're not supposed to have certain things. I mean, you can have parked cars on the side of a road. We have parked cars all over the place on different highways. But to have interstate traffic at that volume, I mean, the section I-95 between the Commodore Barry Bridge and where 322 breaks off going northwest is one of the busiest sections. Well, it's basically the busiest section of roadway in the state. Carries, at our last count, which was 21, I think 182,000 vehicles a day, because it's carrying 322 traffic and 95 traffic. It's also the narrowest part of the highway. But it's also the part where you got residences right on both sides, right up there. So the whole thing is, you look at it and go, how the heck is this here this long? But we're here to deal with that.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Other questions?
Did you have a question in the back?
We gotta get through the
I
council
know.
Oh, sorry.
meeting. We have to finish the council meeting, but we are going to definitely have a community meeting. So stay focused on the Facebook newsletter, TV channel, and as you can see, they're here. But we do have to go ahead and wrap up this presentation, but 2023, as you can see, the first one is community involvement. We will have a community meeting. So write down any questions that you have because it's coming, okay?
If you live right along 95 in that first block, we're definitely going to be talking to you in a lot more detail and in small groups.
Small group, yep.
All right.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I can hang around outside for a few minutes if somebody else wants.
Perfect. We'll be here for questions, okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Amanda.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We now open up the microphone for public comments. Ms. Dolores Shelton. We ask that you would be so kind as to keep your comments and concerns to 3 minutes, please.
Yes, I will.
Not just
First
3 minutes.
of all, I appreciate what we just heard. And for most of you, I know that CEP has been on this for years. And anyone who's involved in this community should know what's going on with CEP. Okay, that aside, I just have a question. You know, I'm so very old. And the 4th of July, I didn't think I was going to be around here for this meeting. You know, they start those street firecrackers. Now, I think we should have the community, had nothing wrong with that, and I don't care what it costs. That was good for the community. But something needs to be done about street firecrackers. And the 4th of July, I saw lights flashing through the window. So I was already downstairs. I went to the front door to open the door, and whoa! Right in front of me. I screamed. I thought I couldn't run there, but I ran in. I slammed that door, ran back and called John, called the police. I was petrified. And John came, and I'm telling him, don't open the door. But you know him, he hard-headed. He gonna open the door. But he went out there with those guys and female and talked to them. And I want you to know what they said. They said, this is Chester. This is what we do, and we are allowed to do it. We do firecrackers and we do guns. This is Chester. When John came back in, I was appalled because I know how hard you guys have been fighting. But my right now is with the police department. Do you know nobody ever came and answered my call? And I am trying to get my breath. I'm trying to live. And I shouldn't have to live like this. I've been in Chester since I was 11, and I'm 90 now. I shouldn't have to live like this. And I don't see them, I guess, today. But we've got to do something about change the attitude of these young people and these young parents, these young adults, because they should not be allowed, and they said that they're allowed to do this, to do the firecracker. And I thought our house would catch on fire because the emeralds, they go up on the roof or the front porch roof, and it's so dangerous. I'm just too old to live my last days. I'm going like this. I just want you to be aware. I was truly frightened.
Thank you, Ms. Shelton. Ms. Shelton, unfortunately, it has to be, number one, it has to be an act of the legislature. At one point in time, you couldn't sell those fireworks to the local residents. They changed that law so that they can now purchase. That's why you see that fireworks company in Upland packed during the 4th of July. And as far as policing, there's so many fireworks going on off throughout the city during that time. It is extremely hard for our police to be at each of those spots every time. Unfortunately, well, what you hit the nail on the head. We got to change the mindset of some of these young people. So that is the task that's set before us. Mr. Shelton?
Good morning, Mayor and Council,
Morning.
and everybody in here. Honorable Mayor, council persons, I know how difficult it is now. I know how difficult it's been in the city of Chester, all the way from 1942. I came to Chester as a kid, 1941, for the Pearl Harbor. And I've lived it. I've lived here, but I've been blessed to have traveled all over the world. And I've seen some things, I've learned a lot of things, try to bring a lot of things back here, try to do what I could to help and try to keep the city promoted, upgraded. But I'm thankful to this mayor and council for what you have accomplished. Even though a lot of people can't see it, I know, because I live here, and I live here now, and are living through what's going on now, trying to help it out. Difficult, but not impossible to make the complete change. But some of us, and that some is not here, got to learn to appreciate what they got and try to make it better, what they want to have. And that's not happening. So I'm saying to all of us, and the ones that are not here, we have to keep on fighting. Fight is not over. Some of the youngsters think the fight is not over. They don't think the fight's here. They don't think they got to fight. That's some of the problems. And they're persuaded, listening to the wrong people. They don't know that people will talk them into things for them to get back in charge. And then when they find out too late that they ain't really in charge, they got to deal with the folks trying to turn things around. So I'm saying to you, wake up, those that are sleeping, because you may wake up into another doomsday. If you don't help them wake up, and we're appreciative of being able to make change. Thank you very much. We're appreciative to all of you, what you've accomplished. So we got to keep on working for that direction. We got to keep our eye on the prize. When we lose sight, we're done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. Ms. Sudler?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning,
Morning.
Mayor and all his council and everyone that sits in their rightful place. I'm here to represent the Chester Water Authority. I have my interns with me today. We have 4 this year. All of them are taxpayers, not even interns, but they are paid internship. And we broke down the financial part, so they are legal taxpayers. Some of them never been to a city council meeting before. This is their first time. And I just want to expose them to how we vote on things, how laws are being made. And if you have a problem, bring it here so other people wouldn't be able to know what's going on. I told them it's also is on Facebook Live, so they could read the comments later. But I just wanted to expose our people. We do apologize for the ones that are not doing too well in Chester, but we have 4 here that's our future. And I just want to say thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Just to add to that, not only if you have a problem, but if you have a great idea, you can bring that to us as well. All right?
Just want to make one quick correction. It's no longer on Facebook Live. It's on chestercity.com. Okay?
Mr. Crawford?
And thank you, Ms. Sutler. Every year with her intern.
I'll start with, here are the pictures.
Mhm. One second.
Those are the holes that are actually up and down Carter Lane, Crack Street, not to mention the ones on Township Line Road. The other question is, can anything be done about Berkeley Ford making where the school was at and actual junkyard? Tractor and trailers, smash, crash, and whole 9 yards.
Can anything be done with Murphy Ford's property?
Parking lot, well, the area where the school used to be, William Penn School, which was tore down,
Right.
that whole area now is a tractor and trailer parking lot, of, from smash vehicles to just regular storage vehicles. Can anything be done about that?
Mr. Galante?
Yes, I'll meet with LNI and I'll see if they have any, if they've obtained any permits. If they don't have any permits for parking trucks up there, then we can issue them a letter, a citation, and get them to remove the trucks. So I'll work with LNI and I'll work with the staff there to see what we can do. If they have permits though, then they have a permit. But I don't have any record on my end of any land development or permit for a truck parking. So we'll have to review it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And that area is paved, right? It's not paved, it's not paved. Stone.
Dirt.
He put gravel down.
Okay.
So I'll check with LNI and I'll see what permits they have for that. If not, we can issue them a letter. I'll working with LNI and go through that process.
Thank you.
Thanks.
As the last thing, who do I talk to that as the house on the corner, 33001, is actually empty and the grass is getting very high. So which department handles it?
3301 Carter?
Carter Lane. Yeah, it was right on the corner.
Is it vacant?
Yes.
Okay. Grass is the only complaint? Structurally, it's holding up?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much.
I'll follow up.
All right, appreciate it. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. See if I say this right. Ms. Molacella? Close enough?
Hi, so good morning, Mayor and Council. My name is JT Malakella. I run the Chester Chirp on Facebook. First off, I wanted to say thank you for allowing me to speak this morning because I am not a Chester resident. However, we are doing a lot of things for the city of Chester that we really want to talk about and we're just really excited about. So the last few weeks, I've taken a bit of a sabbatical from my full-time job to focus on the city of Chester and how we as citizens and people make it our mission to serve the community. Over the last week with Carla Stevens' vision, she couldn't be here today, unfortunately, we came together and we rehabbed the Ellsworth Playground at the corner of 291 and Ellsworth Street. We fixed the fence, we cleaned up all of the brush and the trash, we repainted the equipment and the benches, and effectively improved the quality of living for many residents and children living in the area. The children actually jumped in so fast that I don't even think the paint was dry yet. So if anybody came home, if anybody's kids came home and had paint on the clothes, we apologize. I do want to say that to Miss West, that I want to thank your Public Works Department for immediately jumping to the cause when we made a phone call and said, hey, can you guys bring us out some caution tape and some new trash bags for the trash can? And they were here within 10 minutes. You have a wonderful, wonderful team. So I wanted to publicly thank them for their assistance with us. As well as, like I said, Miss Carla, whose vision it was, Ms. Julie Mayfield for our circle, who provided the paint, Mr. Tyron Ricks, the Ten of Life, Chef Lamont Harris, Brother Tony, and the residents of Ellsworth Street and the surrounding areas. We thank you all for your assistance. Animal control has been something that the city has been at a loss for some time now. Myself and my rescue partners work around the clock to help find resources and to assist in returning lost and found animals to their owners. Unfortunately, without an animal control program in place at the moment, we are constantly trying to come up with more efficient ways of dealing with the issues at hand. From July 1st to today, which is 12 days, between myself, Chester Police Department, and Forgotten Cats out of Trainer, we have collectively made no less than 26 animal control related responses. I say no less because I don't have the full reports from Forgotten Cats, and I also do not have the full reports from the police department. But this is what I've been able to track and report, and I am happy to say to Mr. Leitner and Mr. Dowry, I promised you guys reports. I know it took 6 months to do it, but they were finished. So there's been a lot of responses for animal control related things. We're working on that. But many times the police department is requested to respond to loose animals, and too many times the public works department is responsible for removing deceased animals from the roadway. A lot of times pet owners are not able to claim, grieve, or retain their animals due to our lack of resources. I ran an Amazon fundraiser and the entire list was cleared within 24 hours. If you don't mind, Commissioner Gretzky, if I can ask you to come forward, and Mr. Alexander, if I can ask you to come forward as well. Commissioner Gretzky with our police department and Mr. Alexander with our public works department. What I would like to do at this time is present both of your departments with 2 microchip scanners. I know this is a small, yep, 2 for each. This is a small gesture, but this is just something that we can do to help the pet owners get their pets back. And at some point, I would like to offer a quick free training to both departments on how to use the microchip scanners as well. And not all animals are microchipped, but the least we can do is better be prepared to attempt to reunite the ones that are. So I just wanted to present you guys with those today, and we will talk about it. And also to Ms. Williams, you are Parks and Rec, right? You're Parks and Rec?
Yes.
It's been a long morning. It's okay. We would like to work with you as well in the Parks and Rec department, where we can start improving the quality of living with the parks, with other areas around Chester as well. Ellsworth was just the beginning, but we would like to work with you so that we can make some things happen in the future as well. And that is it for me.
Thank you. Yes.
I want to make a comment concerning the animals. The city is in the process of engaging a service for dogs, as well as another service for other animals. So that should be put in place shortly.
That's what I was just to piggyback off what the solicitor said. We're in the final stages of wrapping something up, especially reference to dogs. Everything will get put out on the Chester Police Facebook, all our social media with the city, but we do have a plan in place and it will be addressed shortly.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
Okay, good morning. Yep, it's morning. Can I just add, you said dogs, are you gonna deal with wildlife also?
Yes, there is
That means possums and,
one contract for dogs exclusively and another for wildlife.
okay, we come with them possums, somebody I know that need possums. Okay, I just have one question, because I didn't have to ask my question on expenditure list, which I was glad that I didn't have to do today. I understand that all these new hires that you have been talking about for several meetings and so forth, are they required to live in the city of Chester?
No, not all of them.
They're not required. Okay.
Sometimes there are some persons with certain expertise, and we have to go outside if we can't find that person with that skill set or that expertise here in the city. We have to go outside to try to find a person to fill those voids.
Okay, so with the police and fire, they are required to live here for at least 5 years or so?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Mr. Simpson?
Saifedean M.A. Simpson, 1030 Potter Street. Good morning, Mayor and Council and general audience. The first thing I'd like to quickly discuss is, for those that might have not known, there was a grant program that I believe was through CareerLink that was paying up to $1,000 per child for summer camp. And I'm not sure whether everybody in the city knew about it or it was broadcast. Apparently, I was at a county council meet and they were given like $150,000, and probably less than 26,000 probably of that was used in Chester because people were unaware of it. And part of the problem was they had an online process. And I think the same thing happened with the rental assistance. If an individual wasn't able to like go on their phone or go on a computer, they weren't able to apply for the grant. Part of my pet peeve with the grant was also is that they were only giving the grant to people that were trying to return to work. And so if you had a child that could not afford like the $675 to go to the Boys and Girls Club summer camp, and you're like on Social Security or retired or you're not in the workforce, you didn't qualify for the grant. So I like council for next year to try to look into that because basically the program's over so far. One of the pluses that I wanted to mention about the program was that the Boys and Girls Club, I think it was the second day, they had a trip to the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. And as soon as I was around the Boys and Girls Club and I got back, like 3 or 4 of the little boys that I kind of like helped teach how to tell ties at Boys and Girls Club came up to me and said, "Mr. Simpson, we saw the White House." So I think that the program is very beneficial. My second issue is that I wanted to briefly talk about reentry in the city of Chester and where we're going forward. I've always wanted to speak to Mr. Dowry one-on-one, but he's never really answered any of my emails or spoke with me personally. And one of the things I wanted to say to him that I think that most of the people that are ex-offenders or have reentry problems, such as myself, we're usually the last hired, but we're the first fired when it comes to the city of Chester. I would like somebody in the city to start monitoring the statistics that are nationwide so far as reentry places to go. If you're coming out of the prison system, coming out of a rehab or whatever, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C. says Pennsylvania is number 44 out of 45 of the states that they rated, saying that this isn't a place to go if you're coming out of reentry. They say California is the #1 place to go. So I really don't want people that come home to have to say they're going to go somewhere else. But in closing, they say that RISE in Philadelphia is one of the top 5 programs in the country. So I'd like to follow up with somebody with the statistics. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Thank you. Mr. Salim.
Good morning. Mayor, Council, all of the people here. Good morning to you. It's a beautiful day, good day. My name is Amin Abdul Salim. I live 240 Patterson Street in Chester here. Inshallah, God's will. And I want to make brief notes with you. I missed the last one. I picked up a book somewhere. I remember, I won't say where, but it says, "Here come your king now riding in on a donkey," and it was supposed to have been depicted of a depiction of Jesus riding in on a donkey, beard scraggly and clothes, uh, disarrayed and so on. And I said this, riding in on a donkey, your king. And it says also some points that I've read that they would threaten you with poverty. And it says also that vote your consciousness, if you will, sir. Vote your consciousness. And I think that we basically, at this last, inshallah, God's will, I don't want to anger anyone, nothing. We voted our fear. If you don't do this, if you don't vote for me, you won't have this, and so on. So this is an issue, this is a concern with me. I heard with those three things, I heard some good things. But I am good in the sense that we are doing what is done for us has to be done by us. We may not think that we got the ability, the utility, and all. We do. We are from God, and God has it all. He can give it to whomever He please. It's good to know that God is in charge, if you will, sir. He's in charge. I hear some people come up big, chest out, and all this, and think that they're in charge of this. You're not, and you will soon see. But I don't need to say anything like that. So as we go on, and we're gonna see change, great change, not the change that you're talking about. God says, He also said, I'm going to requite the noise. So that the people can hear their Lord. All this is our Lord is doing. He's in charge, totally in charge. Allah says, God says, we plot and plan, and He plot and plan, and He's the best of plan. So I'm firmly believing our Lord, and I know that He's doing this, and we have to stay, connect with our Lord. I thank you much, sir. Until next time, inshallah, God's willing, sir. Thank you much.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Ms. Littleton?
Good morning, council and other residents. I just want to first make a comment. I just want to make sure that we understand that we should not equate residents not knowing things of of having a lack of involvement in the community. And this is why we have these council meetings when you don't know a matter. This is why you come here to get educated and empowered. So we want to make sure that we're not indicating that residents that don't know of a subject matter is equated to them not being involved. I just wanted to say that for the record, okay? I am very aware of what happens in our city. I'm, very vigilant about things. I'm noticing that there is lots of more people who are coming into Chester City. And one of my concerns are about the level of drug and alcohol use. And we have a lot of people who are roaming the streets of Chester. These are new faces, different ethnic backgrounds. And I'm concerned about our children, our communities. We've had to address a few of them. I don't know if there is facilities or where the influx of people are coming in, but we are definitely having an increased open public view of people who are walking around uh, apparently drug addicted. And so this is very concerning for me. I see a lot of it coming up and down 9th Street and just wanted to bring that to the awareness to see if we know that that is going on and just really how we can also put some things in place just to let residents be aware. We have to be aware of what's going on in our communities, especially for our children's safety. We've had to talk to a couple of people about even interacting with children, and so just want to bring that to the council's attention. And again, don't know where this influx is coming from, but it's very evident that it is starting to grow more here in Chester City. Okay, so we just want to talk about that really quickly. Also, I have a question about the facility that is going to be, was actually being built in Upland. We know that there's been a halt. We have had Chester residents, including myself, who have talked to the borough there. The We don't know the whole details of why that project is halted. We're hoping that it's because some of the Chester residents there did stand up to speak out for their rights there, but we do understand that there's probably more issues. One of the concerning issues now for the residents is the upkeep of the grounds. Now that the project has been halted, the grass and rubbish is growing out of control, and people are concerned about, rodents coming into the area. We've already mentioned before that facility, even though it's in Upland, it sits and affects most of the residents who live here in Chester City. And we're hoping that maybe this council can help the residents reach out to the borough there to maybe get on top of them about looking into making sure that that is not going to become an issue for the residents of Chester City dealing with rodents. So I just want to bring that. And my last question is the property at 334 West 9th Street. We noticed that the work has stopped there for a very long period of time. That landscaping has not been kept up. My husband has cut the grass, cut down bushes for at least 3 times. I don't want him to have to do that. And so we're wondering if somebody can find out what's going on with that and to ensure that the maintenance is kept on the landscaping there at that property that is no longer being worked on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Ms. Littleton, I do know that the upland facility, I'm not exactly, I can't give full detail on why it stopped, but I do know that all facilities across the state, across the Commonwealth that are facilities like such, as far as processing of cannabis or marijuana, has been halted. So it's not just the upland facility, it's all of other facilities across the state as well. So I can't give full details on why. It might be some research on there if you can look it up maybe, but I've been told that it's been across the entire state.
My main issue is just about protection.
Yeah, the resident. Understood.
Thank you. Mr. Cotman?
Good morning, Mayor,
Morning.
City Council, Jamil Cotman, 725 Upland Street, Chester. Just come to thank y'all, Mayor, Council, for being there for me and my family in a time of need. My brother just got killed over the weekend. Me being an advocate of the gun violence for more than a decade, when it hit home, it hit home. For a guy that that worked every day, 2 jobs every single day, just wanted to be with his kids. He got killed in front of his own house. I just thank y'all for continue to be there in our time of need. Right now I'm raising money to help with the arrest of the people that whoever did it to my brother. If we want to do it as a award or help give it to the police department for their overtime, but I'm just asking for this not to be a case that get pushed under the rug. It get be on the front line, and I will be continue to fight with this case, and my brother will not be laid to rest in vain. So I continue to ask for y'all help, y'all support in any way possible. I will be going out to the DA's office to sit down with them because when they do make the arrest, there's not going to be one of them cases that a person get 10 years or nothing like that. I want this to be an example for a guy that lived there, that as a resident and that been doing everything the right way, the same way as the woman that got killed down the project when somebody shot through her window at her own home. This will not be laid to rest until the persons or persons that done it get incarcerated. But like I said, thank y'all, and thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Cotman. And Mr. Cotman, our condolences go out to you and your family. Anytime we lose any of our residents, especially to violence, it hurts us all as a family. But our prayers go out to you and the family. We'll continue to keep the line of communication open so that we can be as helpful as possible. We started a reward system almost some 8 years ago. Unfortunately, no one is really taking advantage of it. Hopefully, I mean, that reward system is still in place. Hopefully, one day we'll get some folks to step forward and take advantage of that. But prayers continue to go up. Thank you. Ms. Colder? No, it's Ms.
Hope my voice don't give out. I have a problem with my voice. Honorable Mayor, council members, and audiencemen. Last month, because of the excessive rain, I had spoke to Councilman Root about it. I live in back of Wallingford Estates, where they have amongst amount of trees, and because of the land and the trees and the oldness of it. They're tilting. The tree has been there. It's a bunch of trees that have fell, and they have fell on the property. And Councilman Root had came out. I'd seen him at the eye clinic, and he said he was trying to get a meeting with the Wallingford Estates to have that removed. This has been an ongoing problem. I have contacted my insurance company, and they did make a claim, but it's not enough for the fence to be, the tree to be removed. And Councilman really had said that it's going to take money to have them removed. This is not the first time. I have been going over it constantly to remind them to have them removed. They're not doing anything. This is a safety hazard because these are not small trees. These are large, heavy trees. They're falling, they're catching into other things. I have a picture in my phone of what's happening. I had Benny Gill, from Morehead Fell. Benny Gill had came yesterday, removed some of these broken trees on my property. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to actually cause a humongous problem for the whole row or for somebody, because we have to park in the back of our house. This is a one-way street. Our back has like a little alleyway for us to come out of our back. So it's cars parked in the back. And because of these, we're supposed to get more heavy rain coming in. So what I'm asking, so either, because they're supposed to be taxpayers like we are. So it's not that you don't know who the owner is of the Wallingford Estates to have them remove those trees. All of those in the back, we have yards. In the back, they're fenced in. And because a lot of investors are putting Section 8, they're not taking care of their property. It's overran with weeds and stuff. And the reason I had Benny, because we have had possums, because it's a stream in the back. We had possum, we had groundhog, we have cats, rabbits, we have tree frogs, we have a mixture of wildlife. And the more that it's just laying there, they're inhabiting, for their own good. So, like I said, lastly, this is going on this will be a month. This will be a month that those trees have been laying there.
Ms. Holder, let me ask my solicitor, and Mark, is there any way that we might be able to assist in the removal of those trees and then bill Wallingford Estates and or cite Wallingford Estates for both the removal and the...
Yes, if we give proper notice and they fail to.
Well, I have a question. Councilman Roots, have you had any contact with the property owners? She said you reached out to you, so.
I've made contact. I haven't heard from them though, but they've been made aware. They've been made aware years ago of the issue. There's a line of trees that are right across from the fence line of all the homes in the row that she lives in. And as these trees get older, as the weather gets wetter, they're falling. The branches are falling onto, her fences and others on that block. The best case scenario is to have a relationship with the Wallingford management, that they would come by and either, cut those trees down, cut the broken ones out. From what I'm understanding is they've never been cooperative with our efforts as a city or the residents who have made contact with them. So, you know, a stronger stand, you know, could be placed, but it's, you know, their property, it's their trees. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Solicitor, but if, let's say, a tree falls from the apartment side onto a fence of a property owner, that would be a civil judgment against the property owner and the apartment building.
It would be a civil matter, but if it constitutes a public health safety matter, it could become a city concern.
Correct.
So how would you recommend we proceed now?
I would recommend that Mr. Alexander and I chat, that proper citations or notices be given out. They be given an opportunity to correct the matter, and if not, we proceed legally. And also, the residents should be informed that they do have civil remedies as well.
I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Calder, and we will try to move expeditiously on this matter. Mr. Lee?
Good morning to all. I just want to come and thank all the departments, especially well, the Public Works Department and the police and fire, as well as Parks and Rec for an awesome event, July 4th. We had a great time up there with no problems at all. And we've been blessed many years with this event, with other cities having a tremendous amount of problems as far as people getting hurt or shootings or whatever. But the city of Chester has been, God has been blessing us with awesome events every 4th of July. And so I just want to thank all the departments. And young lady, if we could talk after this, I'm the director of Parks and Rec. So I'll give you my phone number so we can coordinate on some things. And also, just for everybody's attention, we have the NFL clinic down at the Memorial Park for the youth. So, and that's being held at from 9 to 2 up until Friday. So they've been there. They started yesterday. So come on out and bring the children out to learn a little bit about football. Then there's also a clinic at 7th Street basketball courts, which starts at 6 p.m. So there's plenty of things to do in the city of Chester. All right. Thank you very much. Y'all have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Councilwoman? You good? Councilman?
I don't have anything, thanks.
You good? Councilwoman?
I'm good.
Councilman?
I got something to say. Now just the on tomorrow, the 13th, we're having a community meeting about giving updates regarding the American Rescue Plan, the funds that we have used, the funds that we're projecting to allocate towards certain projects, and giving you some updates on what's next to come. That is going to be here tomorrow at 5 p.m. right in here in this room. We'll have a presentation that we'll project. We'll also have the meeting live streamed on our website as well for those of you who cannot make it. So it's the American Rescue Plan community meeting right here July 13th at 5 p.m. in the council chambers. That's all I got to say.
I do want to thank the Public Works Department. Mr. Alexander is here, and for their continued good work that they do. I have a great staff inside and outside. We all work together. We work very hard to try to serve our community because the community is first and foremost in our thoughts. So thank you, Mr. Alexander and your team, for all the good work that you do for the city.
more thing. I just want to say that, you know, since I've been in this role on council, I feel like I've done a lot of good things here for the city and then also for the employees here. And when we have good people, genuine people, good, smart, and intelligent young people in our community, I think it's very important that we try to assist them with employment um, here within local government and or if other opportunities that presents themselves in the city of Chester. I've been a huge supporter of local employment, and I want to make sure that when we have people here in the city of Chester, that we just don't push them to the side if something doesn't go right. Everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves an opportunity, and I believe that for myself, that is it's my duty as the director of finance and HR to give people those chances and opportunities to get properly trained to do the work. Um, and I just wanted to mention that because it's very hard in today's time to get a job. It's very hard. And sometimes, and not only is it hard, it's hard to get a job that is paid, hard to get a job that is paid, to get you paid to what you feel like your worth is. So I don't want to, I don't think it's right that an employer should just automatically look to terminate an individual when they adhere to the policies and procedures and they necessarily have possibly not been properly trained on what they need to do. When we look for certain positions, we post those positions on our websites. We try to have those interviews and we try to pull the best candidate. And we hope that those candidates are from Chester. And at times we do have to go outside the city of Chester. But one thing for sure, I'm pro Chester all the way. And I'm going to make sure that our residents and our people that are looking to have an opportunity to grow here in the city of Chester and to serve our residents continue to do that. And I'm going to fight for them so that they can do that as well. So I say all that to say because I'm glad that members of council was able to extend the probationary period for that resolution for the one employee because I know that employee is smart, intelligent. They have their degree. I believe they might even have their master's. I'm not sure, but I know they have their degree, and they're here because they love the city of Chester, and I know that they're going to do great things here. So, with that, I yield.
And Councilman, her direct report had recommended the extension, and that she gets the resources necessary to make sure that she's properly trained. So it was not just our decision, but it was a recommendation coming from her direct report.
Correct.
Thank you. Just want to say, if you get a chance, I think we did our oldies but goodies at the Ethel Waters Park the other day, and it was well attended. We have a little something for everybody, all ages, here in the city of Chester. So if you get a chance, come on down to the oldies but goodies, and that's every Tuesday here in the city at beginning at 6 p.m. They have a very good time, and safe, festive environment. So come on down and get yourself some line dancing in, and get yourself some bopping in, get yourself some cha-cha in. Also, Mr. Lee, thank you. That the 4th of July was we had a great event. I attended. I wanted to make sure my grandkids were there. I even bought the dog. So it was a very good event. When you hear what's happening in other communities that are around us, and the seriously violent activity, some even leading to death, you have to be grateful of how we conduct ourselves here in the city. And so I want to also thank the residents for looking out for one another on that day as well. And starting this Saturday, we will be doing our food truck festival. So come on downtown Chester along with the Crash Boys bike event. These young guys, I'm going to throw girls in there as well because I don't know if it's any young ladies, but I'm going to throw the young ladies in there as well. They be doing they're doing some awesome stunts and tricks on these bicycles. You might want to come downtown Chester to partake in the festivities, the food, the music, Crash Boys, and just a community continuously coming together, just doing wholesome things for our residents. So that'll be this Saturday at, I think, is that 6 o'clock, Miss Amanda?
Crash Boys start at noon.
So the Crash Boys event is going to begin at 12 p.m. I'll say p.m. Well, 12 noon. We are actually going to have a few food trucks around there for the Crash Boys. And then at 5 o'clock, you can swing on around here, get your groove on with the food festival. And it's going to be right here on the app. So the whole day from 12 to 9. Overtown is gonna be rocking. So kids, adults, come on out, have fun. We got turkey, a guy jerk turkey wing food truck coming. We got the funnel cake people coming. We got the sweet potato pie people coming. So we got we got a barbecue grill truck coming. Chef Ricky is coming down, bringing his truck. Oh, that's me. Okay, I'm gonna go, but come on out from 12 to 9 all day starting Saturday. That's gonna kick off our Overtown Food Festival. All right.
So start your fast now, so you'll be able to enjoy that day. We have a real good time, and also it's an opportunity for us to showcase our downtown businesses as well, and also be supportive of the businesses that are currently here. So come on down, enjoy yourselves. Miss Sutler, thank you. Thank the young people that are present here today. We hope this is not your last time coming to a council meeting and partaking. And next time we're going to come and ask you to share a little bit about what it is that you do with the Chester Water Authority. All right? It's going to be a pop-up quiz. All right? So thank you all for being here, and thank you for bringing them, Ms. Sutler. With that said, this council meeting is now adjourned. Have a great day. Mm-hmm. That's part. Because